Welcome everybody to Career Insight. My name's Matt Hanley.
And I'm Hillary Roman.
And today we have two guests with us. We have Jacob West and Brian Butterfield. Would you guys both introduce yourselves, please?
Go ahead, Brian.
I'll start. Brian Butterfield. So thank you for this opportunity. Appreciate it. Very quickly, I graduated from School of Mines with a bachelor's in computer engineering quite some time ago. Got a master's in technology management from this same university. Spent 25 plus years in industry and came on full time on the faculty with electrical engineering, computer science last would be fall 21, and really enjoy back working with the students. Prior to that, I had some experience. Was very close with the department in particular. I was an adjunct instructor teaching mobile computing, helping out in software engineering, helping with senior design, and just kind of came back to what I like doing the best after my 25 years.
Yeah, and I'm Jacob West. I just graduated from School of Mines here in May of 2022. I've been interning with a company here in South Dakota called Omnitech, and I've just come on full time with them in May. I started as an intern in 2020. That was a great time to become an intern. Luckily, I still had an internship. That was great, but I think it was all in part of the collaboration, obviously, that you can have with everyone here in the state and at the school. And so I'm happy to be here, still here in Rapid City, working downtown now. So thanks for having me over here.
So we have lots we want to talk about with our two computer wizards. Is that the right term for computer scientists?
You could say something of that sort.
Geeks, nerds. Yeah, wizards. Wizards is probably the most appropriate, yes.
Oh, yeah.
I'll tell you what. So Brian, a couple years ago, pre-COVID, or no, maybe it was anyways, sometime around COVID, Brian invited me to talk to another employer that's a computer science type employer. And the gentleman we met with was a computer scientist, and so was Brian and this other guy. And actually, I think Jeff Magoo came too. So 3 computer scientists and me. And I want to talk about recruiting and students. And pretty soon they were talking about taking over the world. I kid you not.
We like to talk about the things that we don't know we can do, but we'll just figure them out.
Yeah.
That's what we do.
When you said there's 3 computer scientists and you, I thought that was like a start of a joke or something.
Nope, I was out of my league.
But
Software is eating the world. That's been well known.
we're going to be talking about that.
And anyways, we start this off with, we have some dad jokes.
And you don't have to be a dad.
I've been waiting for these since I watched the first one.
Okay.
So
Oh, wonderful.
Okay, so I got a couple computer ones, so hopefully
Oh,
this
that was smart. I got a
Computer
couple.
plus dad jokes?
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah.
We did a deep dive for you guys. We really prepared.
So so here we go. What's a robot's favorite snack? I want to be ready when the robots take over the world.
a computon. Oh, am I not supposed to answer?
No. anybody.
Anybody can answer.
I don't know. Maybe it's like a
I'm
crouton.
really bad at answering jokes.
Oh, gosh. I don't know.
Computer chips.
Oh, okay. That was a slow pitch, too, and I still didn't get it.
Is there going to be a soundbite overlay? Da-da-da.
Oh, we can make that happen.
I mean, you probably
Yeah,
should
we will
make that happen. That was a good one. I do
good. Okay.
do appreciate that one. He's looking at blank stares. But no, we do appreciate that one.
Okay, I have one, but it's not computer engineering. What is the most detail-oriented ocean?
Don't know.
You don't tell each other these beforehand?
Oh, no. It's a competition.
Yep.
The Pacific.
Oh.
There's not even a groan. Come on, guys. Come on. All right, Matt, your turn.
Okay, so what's an astronaut's favorite part of a computer?
The
The motherboard?
space bar.
The space bar. All right, Jacob.
Oh, points for Jacob.
Yep.
Way to go. That was fantastic.
My wife knows I'm really bad at those. So I appreciate it.
We'll
but
send
I'm
this
really
to her
bad.
after we
Okay,
get done.
please.
This goes out to Dr. Carlson. I was just looking at dad jokes in your class the whole time.
All right, I got one. Why do bees have sticky hair?
To collect the pollen.
No, but that's pretty good.
That's the wrong kind of science and engineering we're talking about today.
No, I got to bring a humanistic element to this conversation. Any guesses?
Does it have something to do with the Bee movie?
No.
Okay.
Where they
Please
pick
know
up the
we're not
airplane.
sponsored by the bee movie. Because they use a honeycomb.
Oh,
Yeah, you're welcome.
okay. Here's my last one.
Oh, but wait, there's more.
We have a full hour of this.
We really like to, this is how we get started. We really,
Okay, so when does a joke become a dad joke?
oh, that's meta.
Do you know this one?
No.
Brian, this has got to be one you probably know.
I am really bad at these. I'm not kidding.
When it becomes apparent.
Oh, gosh, that's too good. All right, that's solid.
That one, that's a good one to
That's
end
really
on.
good.
Right
Okay.
there. Yeah.
We will send these to you after so then you can use them in your repertoire.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I appreciate that.
You'll be the hit of Omnitech. Is that it?
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
I'm sorry. That's all I had. I just
Okay.
had two.
Okay, so
Considering we're 10 minutes into our podcast already.
Brian, when you introduced yourself, you mentioned graduating from mines, industry, and then coming back to mines. Can you talk a little bit more about what you did after graduating from mines and then before coming back to mines?
Absolutely. In '98, I graduated with the computer engineering degree, which at that point was a brand new. I mean, I think it was accredited just a year before I graduated, possibly. So it was
wow.
a brand new program. I did not learn how to write software in that program. I mean, there were some intro classes there, but for the most part, it was just kind of this. It was truly this hybrid between electrical engineering and computer science. I had an internship with a company called Martin Group, which is based out of Mitchell, South Dakota. We had a Rapid City office, and I went to work for them, and I did nothing with my degree. No embedded systems, no hardware, nothing. It was all software. So I really learned on the job as it related to writing software. And this was back in obviously the late 90s, where the tool sets just didn't exist that exist today. So I was writing in what's referred to as Visual Basic, which does still exist,
Gosh,
barely.
I see that around every now and then
does
still.
exist, but yeah. So I spent 10 years at Martin Group, and then from there, went to work for Golden West. Actually worked with Golden West Technologies and Internet Solutions for the first 2.5 years of my tenure there, and worked for Golden West Telecommunications for the last 2.5 years. So the first 2.5 years, basically was in a position to start a software company inside Golden West. There was a GM change at Golden West, which we wanted to change focus, so we kind of dropped that effort, and I went into billing and OSS systems, where I actually helped the company implement a billing and OSS system, replacing a 30-year-old system. If you are unlucky, you go through a billing conversion once in your lifetime. If you're really unlucky, you go through more. So I went through that process. That was a lot of driving back and forth between here and Wall and gaining 10, 15 pounds because all I was doing was eating at the gas stations. And
Got to get those chuck wagons.
Yeah, exactly. We look back at, my wife and I look back at pictures, and it was obvious. It wasn't obvious then, but it's obvious now. And then from there, just did different opportunities came up. I worked with Innovative Systems at that point, and that's really where I kind of came back into onto campus again, got reacquainted with the department. I was actually running affectionately referred to as an intern farm for Innovative Systems. I had, at my peak, there were 18 interns spread across 6 different projects. 3 of those 6 projects were senior design projects. So I had an opportunity to work with Dr. McGee and really refactor and restructure senior design in that context, because I had a lot of projects within his course. So that was an opportunity for me to come back to campus, get reacquainted with the department, understand what was happening, what their needs were, and then that quickly led into me being an adjunct instructor. I worked with Dr. Logar in software engineering, helped her go through some transition there, and actually her and I taught mobile computing, which was Android development, for the first time on campus within that time period. She did the admin, I did the instruction, worked out very well, and then I took over the course the next semester after that. From there is a custom software company, software startup, had a stint at B9 Creations, took some time, worked for Property Meld for a couple of years, took some time, and then here's where I'm at.
That's great.
I feel like that's quite the journey.
Yeah, that's a lot.
If there's a local company that has been involved in technology and software, there's a
Yeah.
pretty good chance I had some involvement with the company.
That's really cool.
Well,
Yeah, so a lot of different companies, a lot of different company cultures, I'm sure.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And so Jacob, you mentioned you've interned with Omnitech and you work full time with Omnitech now. What were your roles when you were interning with them, and then what were your roles when you started with Omnitech, and what's your role now?
Yeah, so when I came in as an intern at Omnitech in 2020, we had they had a very successful intern program that had run in the past and was starting to hit its critical mass. It was going really well. It was very effective, and it really made you feel welcome and want to stay at Omnitech. We come in there and it was a phased out process. Everyone's going to get on track to where you need to be. I think my biggest thing I would ask Nidra when I was coming to the career fairs is, what do I need to know ahead of time? What do I need to know ahead of time? They said, if you're taking your classes, you're going to be fine. You don't need to know anything else. We're going to teach it to you here, anything that you don't know. And so that was very good to hear. It was I wanted to get started. And that's, I think, the number one thing right now today, learning in this, is technology is very fast paced, but you got to be really patient with it at the same time, because in the technology world, everyone's thinking about technology, but when you're in the consulting area, that's not everyone else's thought when you're working with people. And so making sure that you're being eloquent about it and making sure people understand. So those were some of the things we got through our intern program. Our second phase, we would really go into the deeper dive on the newer technologies that are available, and really our bread and butter of what you need to know to become a successful engineer. And then getting into, as Brian mentioned a little bit, the old legacy things they would throw at us and say, this isn't just what you're going to see. You might come out of school thinking you're going to go be the newest, latest, and greatest on everything, but that's not the case out of the gate. And that's okay, because that's where you actually learn. Because if you go use all this new tooling, it can almost do it for you these days. So you need to really have a mindset of, what can you continue to keep doing in this industry to not just become a commodity, but actually be a resource and something useful for people. So that was really what we got out of that internship. I did it for 2 years. My second year around, I became what they call there an intern Sherpa, and I helped the first year interns. So I had already gone through the program, and helping the first year guys and gals go through what their what I went through the year before with my friends, which y'all get kind of close with your intern class at Omnitech. I mean, it's like
a cohort.
Yeah, there's still 2 guys in Sioux Falls that I when I started that are still around, and it's super cool to be working with them today. So yeah, that went through. I took a little bit of a different path once I got into the full-time world. I actually went right into sales with Omnitech afterward. And I wasn't sure, I wasn't sure what it was going to look like, but I've so much enjoyed it, because I think having that technology background allows you to go out and really have a deep understanding of what people need and what they're looking for, and still being able to connect with them on their level. And I'm not saying that people don't understand technology, but some people don't have the time to, or they don't have the want to, or they're just not interested in it, and they want someone to be there to be your technical resource. And that's something we didn't have at a large scale here for a long time in the area. And so coming in here in 2018 with our office in Rapid City, it's been great to have that here, and I just love doing that.
So he's really migrated from intern Sherpa to customer Sherpa.
Yeah.
Which there's a lot of truth to that in what he's going through, because it's matching solutions and
Oh,
understanding the customer.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And he still owes me for his first sale, I believe, isn't it?
Ooh, what's
My second one.
Oh, it was the second one. I'm sorry.
So we got to know what your cut is.
I'm trying to figure that out.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure that out.
Jacob, I'm curious. Are you the only computer scientist at Omnitech that works in sales?
I am.
Okay.
The other people on our team, they have been in the technology and sales industry for a long time, and so a lot of times I come in there and they definitely do have a lot more breadth and knowledge of, especially like when you're in education, you're not seeing all of that legacy that is out there, and having a team that knows that piece, like that's what's important. And I think really at the end of the day at School of Mines, what I got that can be applied to anything is how to ask the right question and how to solve a problem. Not that I knew how to use this particular tech stack or this particular software or language. It's can you ask the right question? Can you ask the right person? And can you apply it effectively? And so I don't think it matters what industry you end up in, because I think there's some people who feel like they might not be successful if they didn't go to their, like when you're in school, they don't feel like they're going to be successful if they don't do what they got their major in. But I don't think that's the case at all. That's not what I was taught anyway. So
it sounds like you're kind of mentioning what I like to call them professional skills. I think soft skills is the more common term, but I try not to use soft skills because sometimes when I say that, I see a lot of engineers and scientists almost give me the eye roll or
start sweating.
Or start sweating. So communication, teamwork, leadership, attitude, stuff like that.
When you've touched on, Jacob, I mean, problem solving. That's when I meet with my first year students in our survey course. Out of 110 students, that's exactly the one thing that I talk about, is the fact that you need to learn how to be a problem solver, because that's what employers are looking for.
Yeah.
I had a professor when I was here, Dr. Hinker. I'm just going to call him out because he made a big difference in my life here, and it was really a turning point, an inflection point that I remember. And I realized this wasn't just the thing that he had, but had really ingrained in people here that were older than me that I understood. But I remember going in, and I had a problem, and I didn't spend that much time on it, and I said, I don't know what to do. And he's like, did you do this? Did you do this? Did you check this? How many of these things did you not check? And do you even know what your question is right now? And I'm like, well, what do you mean you're going to say, I was a little taken aback, but then I thought about that. And I go, you know what? That's the big thing that people don't do when they first come in here, is they get frustrated and they give up easy, and they haven't even figured out what they're actually trying to figure out yet. And that probably doesn't just apply to computer science or engineering. That's universal here.
I think so too. Yeah, absolutely. I think that question is so pivotal. Like, what are you trying to figure out? Like, what is your question? Have you even reflected upon that?
And if you don't figure that out, you're just going to spin your wheels over and over again. And maybe it's particularly more challenging for some in the computer science industry, because you're not working with tangibles all the time. There's very little times that you have something physical in front of you that is producing a result you can see. So it's really a practice of the mind with that. I
think what's also unique about computer science is you can solve the same problem 15 different ways. And I think that in some other hard engineering, hard sciences, that's not necessarily the case.
And Jacob, you're kind of a unique computer scientist. And I'm not saying that computer scientists can't be great at
I know you think I'm
sales.
goofy. I know you think
well, yeah, but I wasn't going to talk about that.
He's wearing a Patagonia vest, just for everybody listening.
No. So the reason I say that is because I feel like not only are you able to do this, in which I think any computer scientist is able to do, their professional skills. Absolutely. And actually, Brian, I want to talk more about how you restructured senior design and the freshman class and stuff like that. But going back to Jacob, not only can you do that, but you seem to get a lot of energy from it. You seem to really thrive in those roles. In fact, I remember freshman Jacob, and you were different. You were very much a social butterfly. You were very much, in your comfort zone, communicating, talking to people. You got right on student senate. But for probably the average computer scientist, what can they do at Mines to build their professional skills?
I think the biggest thing is that you don't have to be you don't have to be the outgoing, like super out in the open person as a computer scientist for all your roles. Like there's roles for everybody. Even in our own company, there's people who are more quiet and they work really well that way. There's other people who like to talk more, and it helps them get their work done more that way. But I think something unique that I like to do is help bridge that gap between people. being able to tell when somebody maybe is feeling less comfortable in a situation talking to others, and especially when it comes to our computer science and engineering networking, like our Compile Black Hills that we put on here. Brian is the one that really got that going again, and the fire lit under everybody on getting that going, and I'm trying to help him out wherever I can on that. But it's like you walk into a group and you can automatically tell when somebody might not feel as comfortable. And all you got to do, all I feel I got to do, and the only thing special that I probably do with that is say, ask them a question or ask them what they think and figure out how they feel. And if all it takes is to just ask them one question, include them the whole time, then they feel like they're going to be a part of that group. And then you just connected that person to 5 people without saying one sentence to them. And I think having more people who are willing to step up and do that is going to help really bring that community together, because I think sometimes people are just a little more timid in their skills when it comes to these things. And I don't think it's a bad thing to show that. So,
I think if I can add to that, one thing I've realized when coming back into the classroom, and I've had many conversations with many students on this concept, and it really is, imposter syndrome is real. Mm-hmm. And I think it's more prevalent in an engineering and science program, and helping somebody walk through the fact that I have imposter syndrome. We all have imposter syndrome at some point. So it's just this it's an understanding of that individuals and where they exist in the world as it relates to their program that they're on, and trying to help them walk through that. And I think that's an important part of what I do on a daily basis, is working with students and try to get them past that.
Yeah, looking at that imposter syndrome piece too, going through that software, the internship at Omnitech, and full disclaimer, Brian was my senior design professor. So, I've learned a thing or two from him because he's seen a thing or two, but,
or every technology company in the Black Hills.
But, I could tell right out of the gate, I love computers. I've always loved computers. I've loved solving problems, not just computer science problems, but often there's a way you can apply that to help speed up the situation. Mm-hmm. But I know I'm not the best one. I am by far not the best software engineer. I'm not the techiest person in the world. Mm-hmm. And I fully acknowledge that. And I think embracing that, lets me see other, I can see the skill sets and the gifts that some people have, that they're just naturally amazing, and they get this right out of the gate. And it's finding in our industry how to empower those people, because they love that. Mm-hmm. And I love helping the people pull that out of people. Mm-hmm. And so if I were to just say, I'm going to go become a software engineer, I'd probably tear my hair out of my head every day, because I can't sit still sometimes doing that. But I know if I can definitely go out and help people get connected and pull that, make that imposter syndrome feel less prevalent in somebody. And that's definitely finding your area in this industry is super important in that regard. I think that's probably why I'm on the sales team too now.
Yeah.
But I still love to hang out with the engineers. Sure. I still go out and go on walks. I try and get to lunches with them, still do all those same things, which is I loved about that group. It's about people.
What Jacob is going to find is that he's actually going to want to write some code here in about a year or so. He's going to want to write a little bit more code, and he's going to go back to what he's doing.
That's why I make WordPress websites at night, and then it makes me go, maybe not.
That's because it's WordPress, buddy.
Well, that's why you got to keep myself humble with it.
Hillary, do you even know what WordPress is? I don't.
Yeah, I
we don't need to talk about that one.
I'm out of my league again.
I got a few tricks up my sleeve.
Well, I know you never cease to amaze me.
I think this is a good segue. Brian, I've been seeing on LinkedIn, you've been bringing so many different speakers into your classrooms and really working to not only look at those hard skills, but those power skills and building those within your students with the speakers of knowing financial literacy. And you've had just people from the industry, but you've also had people really helping them build those professional skills. So can you talk more about that? Why is that important?
Well, it's important because you want to bring as much real world experience into the classroom as possible. You got to remind students why they're here and doing what they're doing. And a lot of times what I'm finding is that students don't know what they want to do. And because computer science, computer engineering, electrical engineering, they're served so broad of fields, I think it allows me to take an opportunity to help a student determine what path they want to get on. Because if they find that path that does excite them, and it doesn't have to be, this is what I want to do for the rest of my life, and this is what I'm passionate about, because passion for something can wane, can wax and wane, for the most part. But it's bringing that into the classroom as much as possible and bringing that exposure as early as possible. So yes, I bring in individuals that talk on technology topics, but then most recently has been individuals to come in and talk about finance, because one of the drivers was when I had Matt in senior design talking about sort of benefits packages and offers and offer negotiations and stuff. These students had a lot of questions about some more detailed financial stuff. Well, at the end of the day, there's some pretty simple approaches to finance, which is pay yourself first. And we don't have a finance course. We don't have, some of these students haven't been through personal finance in high school potentially, and they don't necessarily have some of these skills. But at the end of the day, what I told some of the classes earlier is you're going to be going from making $25, $30 an hour part-time in an internship sort of scenario to making $40 and $50 an hour in a full-time scenario. That's a big jump. You cannot, and you have to be aware that you can dig yourself a hole when it comes to making those types of jumps. Luckily, we're in a discipline that allows for us to make those $70 and $80 and $100,000 a job offers at the end of a 4-year, 5-year program. So I just want them to be prepared. So at the end of the day, it's a lot of those topics that I just know that they need some exposure to. And a lot of it does come down to exposure and awareness. Those are the two words that I use the most when it comes to bringing in those speakers. They don't have to dig deep. We just need exposure and awareness.
I love that you bring it into like first year classes, because the sooner the better. I absolutely agree. Sometimes I feel like some of those things are not maybe brought to classrooms till like junior year, and it's a little late, right? So and I agree, like we see students that are like, I don't know what to do with it, like I don't know what to do, I don't know what this looks like. So having that, I love that you have that industry experience and the educational experience, and you really bridge that gap and bring people in. I love that.
It's already paid some dividends as it relates to some of the students that I've been working with so far. I mean, it has made a big difference. My objective is simple. How can I make this student successful? And does that mean helping that student find a path that makes sense for them? Or does that mean making a referral for an internship and wrapping somebody in around that, around an internship or a full-time position? That's really what it comes down to.
It's kind of interesting how, looking back at what the curriculum was when I started here at the school and how much it has changed. I mean, my entry-level courses are completely different now, and they're structured differently. And it's not so much even about what is the content that is being delivered, but when is the content being delivered. A huge example that is driven out of industry is testing. Testing in computer science and engineering is huge. People want it so they know, is this thing really working the way you say it is? And I got into my internship and I had no idea. I'd done minimal testing. It wasn't really focused on, and that's taken a complete 360. I mean, don't you write a test now before you even write code when you come to school here?
That's the idea.
Exactly. So it's like hearing that is a huge advantage. And I'm already seeing it in our interns that we're getting at Mines this year, that it's like, wow, like just putting that first and changing the way you think about the problem overall has been massive. And that came all out of industry, saying that that's just what we need more. And so that not only what is being delivered, but how it's being delivered to our students in our department is just, it's awesome how much is thought out.
Yeah, I think it's just great how computer science, computer engineering, EE, and actually all our departments, how tied in with industry we are. You know, they continually get that feedback loop, and they're continually making updates to be on the cutting edge, because like you said earlier, Jacob, it's, you know, what can I do to stay relevant? What can I do to still have meaning and impact to my customers, instead of just getting, you know, caught in, well, this is what I was taught, or this is the way we've always done things.
Our most recent advisory board, I just posed a question before they came to campus. What are the biggest challenges? And the biggest challenge is hiring. And it's not just hiring bodies; it's hiring the right individuals.
Right.
So the more that we can continue to bridge that gap, make sure that we're actually preparing these students for those types of roles, is going to be a huge benefit to the student and to the companies.
Yeah, and so actually this is perfect. So talking about hiring, something really neat about Omnitech is at our career fairs, and Omnitech's not a huge company. I don't know how many employees you have, but I'd probably call them a small business still.
Just a little over 50 now.
Just a little, yeah. So small business, especially compared to some of the other employers, Garmin, Collins Aerospace, even Raven Industries. But what's neat is Omnitech always has a huge line at the career fair. Tons of people want to go there. And then what's even more interesting is at the end of the summer, students come back from internship, and Hillary and I, we get a ton of feedback about their internship. Was it worthwhile? Did they like the company? Did they like the culture? Did they not like it? And it's not all positive. It usually is, but there's always some students that come back with a less than positive experience. I can honestly say that I have never heard one complaint about Omnitech. And so what I'm wondering is what does Omnitech do that, gives everybody a great experience, wants them coming back, that, has permeated through the student body that people are lining up to talk to them at the career fair?
Yeah, that's a good insight.
I think plain and simple of it, going through the program and going full time with them, is that they took the chance on me when they had no reason to. I mean, I was not doing client work when I was there. I was there in a amazing setting, being able to learn how to do software engineering with professional software engineers that were willing to talk to me, not treat you like an intern. I felt like a full-time person when I was there, and you're getting paid. So why would you not, you don't feel, you almost didn't feel deserving of it, but it's being able to take a chance. And that's one thing that Chad has always said about our Rapid City office, is he said the biggest reason that we have this office out here in Rapid City is because we are able to give the people at school, all of the people coming out of School of Mines, a chance in this industry. And I was super grateful for that. I mean, you feel when you have really not given anything to, you've given your time and your dedication and focus while you're there, but I feel like I really owe it to them for where I am at right now in this industry. And so that made me feel good, because it's people first. And if it was push these papers around and do this crappy stuff over here and go clean this up, well, maybe it wouldn't have been so fun. But the fact that it was so structured around your learning and where you want to go and what you're focused in. Like, I really liked front end, where you build the actual person-facing parts of the website. There's people who like the back end, which is all the logical pieces. There's people who like data. It gets tailored to you for that. And we also have data. We have data paths now for interns. We have computer engineering paths for interns. They're all focused on what you like, and that's what made me love it so much. And I think why other people also say they love interning there and working there.
Yeah.
I have to credit Omnitech for, they are very purposeful about building their talent pipeline. That's really what it comes down to. When I was working with Innovative Systems, that was another sort of example. I'm here sitting today on campus because of Innovative Systems, and the founder of Innovative Systems hiring me to work in his office here with the express written condition that I actually go teach in the classroom.
Yeah.
Again, to build the talent pipeline. So the more that we can find those companies that actually are in that or take that approach, the more benefit we can provide those companies. That's a big ask for companies to take to go to the level that an Omnitech is going to, or the companies that have come in the past. But I think the more that we can kind of leverage that, the more that we can really benefit the students and those companies.
It's a testament to, Omnitech saying we're here for interns. I mean, right now our office is just growing, but there is 6 full-time engineers, and then there's myself in the sales team, and then there's 6 interns in our office. So when the interns come in, they literally double our entire office when we're there. And it's so fun to have them in there because we're all on the same page. We all talk together. They're not in their own, we go and get our work done, but we also all come together and chat about everything that everyone's doing together. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, I want to see every single one of them here full time when we're done because you get to love working with them so much.
Yeah. Yeah. And so, Brian, what else works besides being very purposeful for recruiting? So, talking about all your years in industry and the different companies and the different company cultures, and you mentioned the OIE, a big topic was hiring talent. And granted, we're in a unique situation right now. There's definitely still a job seekers market. But just in general, what else works for companies to be successful at recruiting top talent? And I'll tell you what, and retaining that top talent as well.
Yeah, that's a topic we don't talk about is the retaining part.
Yeah.
Right.
We always think of like placing students, but how long are they there? How much do they dedicate to that company?
Yeah, do they stay? Do they go out on an internship and do they want to come back or are they burned out?
Right. Well, I think it starts with the recruitment on campus, and I think those companies that really take interest in the program. They're not just here to collect resumes and to collect applications. And I mean, there are definitely some of those companies, but those companies that are actually understand the program that they're hiring out of and getting close and building awareness for those students that they exist and those types of things. That's really a lot of it where it starts. I think some companies do a really good job at that, and some companies don't. I think that's a representation of those companies that have long lines at the career fair. But as far as I think it's a matter of giving that student a good quality recruitment process. Because I've got students walking in my door in my office quite often going, I haven't heard from them. What do I do? And I know all of you get those same inquiries a lot. And I think that is a representation of the company that maybe needs to be worked on. That they need to be much more rehearsed in working with a student candidate, different from a full-time or an experienced candidate, because the students don't have experience with, well, if they didn't get back to me today, what does that mean?
Right.
Or if they didn't get back to me in 2 weeks, what does that mean? And we are on the student side of this conversation, and we're walking that student through trying to figure out, well, when did you contact them? Who are you talking to? Are you talking to somebody from HR, or are you talking to an engineering manager? So I think there's some opportunities there for companies to reflect on the fact that they are hiring a student that has not been through this process before. And those companies that recognize that, I think they're going to have a leg up because they're going to be closer to the student candidate. They're going to understand their needs. They're going to understand when responses are appropriate and when they're not, and that type of thing. So I think there's a lot of opportunity there. And on the retention side, giving them an opportunity to explore. And I know there's been a few companies and a few responses that I've gotten from students where those students, as an intern, has had an opportunity to explore other areas within the company, not just the individual team that they've been assigned to. I think the more that companies can offer that, the more exposure that student can have to the culture, to the teams, to the work that they're doing, and then they can come back and make an educated decision as it relates to when that student may get a full-time offer to know whether or not they want to go with this company or this team within this company and those types of things. So I think the more that they can kind of widen that breadth of experience and exposure when they're in that 3-month internship or maybe that 9-month co-op, the better off they're going to be with that student, especially if it's a student that they want to retain.
Yeah. And to your point, Brian, about communicating through the hiring process, I'll tell you something we've seen throughout the years, but I can think of 2 instances within the past month where 2 different students came in with multiple offers, and at least one of those companies had got that offer to them quick. They did their interviews, they got them the offer right away, and I take that back, not multiple offers, they had offers forthcoming, but they weren't in hand.
Right.
And when they reached out to those companies and said, hey, I have this other offer, can you speed things up? And the companies, said, no, we're going through a process. We want this reviewed. Both times they took the offer that they had in hand. So I think there's something else about companies that are willing to move aggressively, willing to make time for their top candidates to meet with whomever they want them to meet with, instead of saying, okay, this day you'll meet with this person, then 2 weeks later we'll have another one to meet with this person. And it's burning students out in this aggressive job market where they're having other companies that are getting right back to them.
And I think the other part of that is the contrary point, which is those companies that put that offer in front of that student, they have it in hand and they give them a week to respond, type of thing, which I think is also something that I'm dealing with, and I know you folks are dealing with as well, as it relates to just how do you help a student walk through that process?
Right.
Do they have to take that position? Well, that's kind of the way they feel, but yet is that the right answer?
Right, and that's a tricky
very
conversation and decision for the students, because especially we had a SD First on our podcast before, and SD First students or first generation students, of course, they're going to take that first offer because it's going to be a solid, I know what I'm getting, I know how much I'm going to be making, I know what I'm going to be doing, let's do it, let's commit.
Yep. And the likelihood that is the right position is probably pretty high, but at the end of the day, it's having that conversation and making sure that they're not answering that too quickly.
Right.
When in fact that there's, potentially a whole nother career fair, there's a whole nother effort coming that's very short. So I understand from a company standpoint, I definitely would be I understand the company's approach where they've got to fill those positions. You want to lock those students in and that type of thing, because I've been on that side of it.
Right.
But I also think there's a human side of it, of this equation, which is you got to understand that these are students asking them to make a life choice, not for the rest of their life, but it's a pretty important life choice, and walking them through that is important.
Right.
And I'd say there's a real opportunity for the company when a student does come to them and say, hey, can I have an extension? And when that company takes that as an opportunity to say, we want you, we think you're great, we're willing to wait for you. We want you to make the right decision, because all of a sudden now they just showed that personal side. They showed them that now I'm getting into a career with a company that's going to have a culture that's going to take care of me, that's going to value me as a person.
Yeah.
And we've seen that happen too. I think, if a company does something like that, I think it's going to work out in their favor.
It will work out in their favor. I've had instances where I actually want to call the company and say, what are you doing to my student?
Yeah.
Which I haven't done yet, but
Yep.
I see myself having to do that at some point because they will strong arm the students in some cases, which I think is just unfortunate.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate when they do that, and then they're not even they don't even plan on keeping the person afterward either. They're just like, you're gonna have to go through the hiring process again if you want to come back here. And
Yeah.
it's like, what is the point of all that? I mean,
Yeah.
it's fun too on the student side that I don't think employers may not always see, and it's unique here at Mines because we get all these alumni that come back, and I think that is the huge key to continuing to make this school sustaining is those alumni coming back and seeing the successes of those alumni. Because when I'm a student, I thought it was cool to see. Look at this alumni. Look at this guy. What is he? Oh my gosh, he's doing that.
See where they went. Like,
yeah.
look how far you can
It's like,
ride.
wow, look at the people who are the presidents of these things, or these things that you've never heard about, that it's like you can go become a name for yourself. And so you get that piece, but then so those alumni coming back know that feeling when you're a student and you tell your friends, hey, I got the internship, and everybody's congratulating you. It doesn't even matter if they know who you are, because our school is just like, oh, you got an internship. Awesome. Good job. I remember when I was going through getting my Omnitech internship, I had another offer first, and I even came to your office and chatted with you. I think it was you, Matt, about it. And I was like, oh, man, I got to figure out, and Omnitech did advance things along when it was early on in the process. And I was grateful that they did that, because I ended up taking their offer. But I remember sitting in class, I was in differential equations with Julie Dahl. And
You have a heck of a memory, Jake.
And if anyone knows Julie Dahl who's listening, she does not like when you're on your cell phone in class. She will yell at you, get off your cell phone. And so it was like 2 minutes into the start of class, and my phone rings, and I walk out. And take the phone call, and I remember I walk in, and I was excited because it was Omnitech on my phone, and she says, "What is so important that you had to go on the phone call during class?" I said, "I just got a job offer." "Oh, everybody clap!" That's what she said. I was like, "Oh man!" So it's like that. It's a universal thing that everybody celebrates here, and I think, knowing that human side of it, it feels more than just you just got the job, you just got the McDonald's application, it's not that. Unless you're an engineer for them, maybe that'd be kind of cool.
Sorry, I'm just reflecting on all the. I think sometimes it's easy for, and I'm guessing here, but from the outside to think that STEM is just black and white, hard line, not person-centered. And I think it very much is person-centered. And I think that's what people gravitate to, is if they're feeling seen. Like you were talking about in your internship, Jacob, that they treated you just like another full-time person. And I know that I've had interns that said, when I felt like I could take ownership of a project, or, had a really great mentor that helped me, progress and grow, that really spoke to them. Mm-hmm. And I think that's absolutely what we need more of, and for people to realize is how important that is. And going back to the onboarding process, I think I realized that subconsciously, that they needed, students need extra support. But when you think of putting yourself in the employer shoes of this isn't just somebody that's been 5 years, 10 years, 15 years in the industry. We need some extra support here. And by doing that, you're really going to find that you're going to be able to retain them. So,
well, it's early talent development, and companies that recognize the fact that there's a difference, and a lot of companies do, but not all companies are purposeful about early talent development.
Right.
And early talent development starts with student recruitment, in most cases. So I think there's a big difference, and as long as you sort of segment and segregate that effort, then I think those companies are going to be they're going to have a leg up.
And I really want to go back to that point that you made of showing them different parts or different aspects of the company, because what if there's somebody that starts a job and they're like, oh, this isn't what I thought it was going to be, but then you bring them into the business side, or you bring them into these different, the front end, the back end, the data, then they can find their niche and say, okay, I can stay with this company because I know I can do X, Y, or Z if I'm not loving what I'm doing now. And I think broadening the scope of what they could do at a company, or even talking about, how are some ways that you can grow professionally, and we're here to support it, really speaks volumes to that early talent.
Absolutely. It's actually an unintended opportunity in my software engineering course. When we talk front end and back end, it's somewhat of a technical term, but in general, I have students now that went through software engineering last semester, or the last academic year, that have actually made career decisions based on going through my class and me exposing them to the difference between front end and back end work. Mm-hmm. So those students are actually looking for specifically front end work, or they're looking for back end work, and it truly is just an exposure, right? So more companies that adopt that type of approach, and a lot of companies do. I think that is a huge benefit. They can literally decide that I really am good at this. I really like it, which means I'm going to really flourish in that area. And the more that you can expose that, the better.
Yeah. So before we finish up here, one piece of advice from each of you for current students. Relate it to pursuing a career.
Thank you for the qualifier. Yeah, thank you for the qualifier.
I would say the biggest thing that I see, especially with talking to other students who are trying to figure out or want to get into a job, is that I know there's people who feel like they get shot down time and time again from places that they want to go work. And it really sucks, because on our side, it's not that you were a horrible candidate. It's just that there's so many of you that are so well qualified. So making sure you dot your I's and cross your T's. You might probably hear this over and over again, on getting your resume really polished. Come in with a good attitude when you come into these interviews, because it's those little things that really do make a difference, because everyone's gonna, for the most part, is very smart coming out of here. And if it's going to be come down to those little things for some of these jobs, if you really, really want to go after it, think about all the little stuff. I think people willy-nilly throw things out and say, well, we'll see, because this is how the market is. I said, well, control the things you can, and be the best you can be with that. So don't forget to show that off. It's not just going to be seen because you know you have it.
Yeah, and there is a place on campus where you can get resume help.
Plug it.
Career services in the library. Main level.
And they'll tell you that. Even if your resume looks like a menu, they'll tell you that.
Oh, that jogs some memories of mine, Jacob. I think I was the one that, you can call me out. That was me.
I think I heard it from both of you.
I was going to say, I was going to take credit for that. So
It
glad we're
looked
on the
like
same
a
page.
menu.
Oh,
Well,
yeah.
it's because, I was like
I-
really into graphic design when I
You
started.
were
It was
obsessed.
beautiful.
It was
Very
beautiful,
artistic.
and I wanted to eat the hamburger that was not listed on there.
Very hard to scan and read as an employer, probably.
I don't, I
Looks
I
nice.
You
always,
gotta bring that back.
You could
know
frame
have
it
a
and hang it on the
copy.
wall.
You gotta
I
show
do.
Brian.
but it's like, here's the menu and I'm for dinner or something. I don't think I could say that in a job interview.
I don't know, but my advice is be fearless and be persistent. So be fearless in the sense where if you want your resume to look like a menu, don't shy away from it and push it forward. Be persistent. But that's kind of one thing that I've recognized most recently is that some students are sort of fearful in terms of should I apply for this or shouldn't I apply for this, or back to the imposter syndrome. I don't
Right.
have the skill sets. Well, you know what? You don't know until you actually show a little less fear, apply for that position, put yourself out there. I think those are the two biggest things. In this, I mean, the second being persistence. I don't think that students are as persistent as they could be and should be in terms of actually looking for that position that they want. They just don't think that they have the skills, and quite honestly, everybody does. It's just a matter of, and to your point, Jacob, you're going to get shot down. So that's okay. Be fearless and continue to move on and apply for that next position.
Yeah, go talk to them year after year. And actually, I've heard Nidra from OmniTech say one year that they were ready to give somebody a shot because they had talked to them every single year up to, they might have been a junior or senior. They just kept coming back to the career fair and chatting with them.
Yeah, it's not like that never happens. We've got people right now here who are with us that didn't even come through the intern program. They came through senior design, and he was so persistent. And you know what? I think his persistence is the very reason that he is working with us right now. So it is a true testament to that. They don't think you're annoying because they see that you really do and truly
And even
want
if they do think you're annoying, that's okay.
Yeah.
They want to talk.
There's
to you.
other people that
They're
might
there
not
'cause
think
they
you're
wanna
so
hire.
annoying.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Okay. Well, thank you both. We appreciate your time and your expertise.
Well, thank you. I think this is awesome. I appreciate it.
I know the hour goes so fast, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fun talking about this and just where things are and reminiscing on how things are moving forward at this school. There's a reason that people want to hire people from Mines so much, and why all of us who do graduate from here continue to look for that. So
I think that's a good point to end on. So thank you so much for your time, and this is Career Insight.
Thank you.